Good morning, everybody, and welcome to my house. When we thought about the title, we've talked a lot about the comeback of cinema, perhaps as the greatest comeback ever told. We've obviously had a terrible time. I'm going to try and make you feel really sad for me temporarily here before we get to the good stuff. And we talked to Sam about potentially changing the title of the event to Operation Bounced Back, because that's kind of where we find ourselves at the moment. So three things I want you to take from today from a cinema perspective. One is the confidence in the numbers and the content slate, and that's really what drives our business. Number two is the flexibility and versatility of the channel. We've done an awful lot of work in the pre-season training camp that we've had for about the last 18 months. Of being able to change the way that we think about our business and provide opportunities for you guys, meaning that it's not just about 300 grand and huge budgets, although we love those, but there's an awful lot of flex and versatility in the channel and opportunities for your clients. And then the third one is really around challenging collaboration. So we are a business now that is very much about how can you push us to break boundaries, how can you push us to do new innovative things with the channel. So the first slide, I thought I'd put this up here. So the first question that we've had a lot, and I mean a lot over the last 18 months, is will cinema survive? And this slide just speaks to the legendary resilience that we've had. We have been described as the cockroach of the industry. That was by my current CEO, which is fabulous. Whilst I don't like the imagery of it or the creature itself, the legendary resilience is first class. And whilst we certainly have been through the ringer, you can see here as a valued part of Australians' cultural suite of entertainment options, cinema is absolutely up there as right at the top in terms of what people want to go and what people won't drop in favour of other items. We've climbed back into the light. So this just gives you a short summary in terms of where we've been. I think the two boxes, centre and right, are the most interesting ones. So in November and December, when we opened up, we finally had all of our cinemas back online on about the 4th of November, and we ran at 107% for about 4 or 5 weeks there as the content slate was jammed. I mean, there was a hit a week, right? There was a big blockbuster starting from James Bond on November 11th, and it really drove audiences back. It then culminated at the end of last year of Spider-Man being the 4th largest film of all time, not just pre-pandemic behaviour. So 4.4 million people going into a cinema to watch that over Omicron was an incredible result. We haven't seen one of those since 2019 Avengers. So where do we find ourselves today? Certainly pre-pandemic movie behaviour has returned. And what I mean by that is that now what you see, and that you will continue to see some moves, is you will see moves in the box office and dates simply to maximise revenue. There are some slight delays from production for things further down the line, but fundamentally these behaviours and changes in the box office and dates are really all around maximising their opportunity to earn revenue in the cinema. 97% of global cinemas are open, and ANZ audiences are operating at 85 to 90%. And this weekend, we've just had our 3rd largest weekend of the year. So, guys, firmly, we are back and we are enjoying good audiences. So the 4 things we've learnt in 2021, we think now after some fairly sizable experimentation, the number one and most overriding thing is the theatrical window, exclusive window, has changed from 90 to 45 days. Now, that isn't right across the board, but fundamentally that's where it seems that everybody has settled, and that's where we've always historically done most of our business. We know that quality content drives audiences, not just on our channel, but right across the board, and all of the major global franchises have committed to big screen releases. So you are going to see an enormous amount of content coming this year, as all of the major quality titles have stayed on the shelf ready to be released in cinemas. And audiences continue to see cinema as a critical part of their cultural and entertainment experience. So that word experience is going to come through heavily from us this year. It's the one reason why we absolutely have a place in the ecosystem, and why we're excited about what the opportunity provides this year. And then finally, 1839. So this is a key segment that simply just drove performance in box office and audiences. It was the audience that was the most supportive way back when, I think in, get your dates right, but about mid to end of 2020. It's the one that's driven the return in November and December last year, and is absolutely the audience that is driving our growth. Over 48% of our audience in November and December was 18 to 39. So we are doing a lot of heavy lifting in that younger demographic, which is to be applauded. So 4 trends to expect: higher concentration in high quality iconic blockbuster franchises. Kicked off with the Batman in the beginning of March, and it goes through from here on in. So we've got Doctor Strange, we're into Top Gun, Sam's favourite. We're then into, I think we've got Jurassic Park, we've got Thor, Black Panther, there's Avatar, there's a hell of a lot coming. So, you know, we're really excited about this, particularly in Q2 this year. We've got 90% more big title content than we had in 2019. So it shows you the depth of what is coming and what will undeniably drive magnificent audiences from May onwards. And young audiences will continue. So we talk a lot about this demographic. We feel like we've got a massive story to play right on every comms plan around 18 to 39s. And we are consistently seeing growth in this demographic. So every time a good title comes along that's suitable, you see 65 to 70% of the audience being delivered in that 18 to 39. And sometimes it's higher in the first 2 weeks as this demographic rushes out. So we're super confident about our ability to deliver this audience, and we know when and where this is coming. A strong lineup of key globally recognized family audiences will drive. So this week just gone, we launched Sonic 2 and the Bad Guys. It then goes into the Minions and Lightyear. And what that gives you is an absolute bolted on opportunity to reach family in a co-viewing moment over school holidays. Happens every time, somewhere between 30 and 40% increase from weekly averages. So that is absolutely guaranteed, which is a real opportunity to take advantage of. And then finally, consumers still crave unique experiences. So I won't do myself out of a slide in a second, and I'll just move on. So our key storylines: 1, screens. So part of the flexibility and versatility that we talk about in the business now is being part of your screen mix moving forward. So this is about regional or location selection. This is about demographic choice. And as the challenges have evolved in media with audience migration, changing consumption habits over COVID, you know, we absolutely see ourselves as part of that overall screen mix, not just in those big sponsorships, but more of an always-on, ongoing part of your buy. We deliver the young audience, as I've mentioned, and then a light to non-TV viewer, which has always been our staple. The power of experience. So this is our big one, right? This is the pocket aces of cinema. It's why we're all sitting, why audiences come to the cinema to see movie content. It's the chairs, it's this delicious 45-foot screen behind me, it's the sound, it's the popcorn, it's that whole notion of experience is why we drive what we deliver for brands, but it's also about what we can deliver when we're outside and delivering unique experiences for customers. And then finally, research. So we're going to try and squeeze in 2 years worth of work into this year, partly driven because of COVID, but partly also driven because of the trends that have changed in consumption. And I think it's worthwhile us dialing down and doubling down on these opportunities to actually prove the efficacy of cinema and how it relates to being part of the comms mix. But all of this is underpinned by attention. So the hot topic right now, as probably everybody knows in this room, so we have partnered with Attention Trace. We have put cameras in cinemas, and we are expecting first round of data at the beginning of May to review where we're headed with Attention Trace and what our results are. So really excited about this part in terms of being able to prove that we over-index in driving attention, excuse me, and that they're positively related to driving business outcomes. And it's that evolution to driving business outcomes, not just attention on its own, that I think is going to be the most interesting change and where we're headed as to understand. So looking forward to collaborating with you guys on that front as attention becomes part of the everyday conversation that it should be. And then major cultural moments. So part of the screens mix provides an interesting opportunity for brands to be part of culture. So when your clients reach out to you and say, I want to be part of Aussie media culture, we believe that the only option isn't just sport. And the holistic view of cultural media moments is much bigger in this country than probably first given much credit to. So when you have these titles driving huge audience and real talkability around the water cooler that lasts for weeks and weeks and weeks, this is what is part of being an Aussie cultural media moment. So we know that these things will drive big audiences. and we've seen it time again. Now, I'm going to give a little spoiler to Spider-Man. If you haven't seen it, first of all, you should have, because that was in December. But when people react, you know, that audible notion of when they bring through the old two Spider-Mans into the mix, that is what we believe drives culture and conversation. And so we think we've got a much bigger role to play in that cultural media conversation than perhaps being given credit for in the past. So we're going to be researching this. It's in market at the moment, and the benefits for brands of being part of that cultural media moment is significant. And when I say it's, you know, looking at it holistically, it's absolutely an Ash Barty winning the Australian Open after, I think, 43 years. It's those really big moments that you lean forward into, the AFL Grand Final, the NRL Grand Final, esports, but we also think we have a strong story to play in that space, and we look forward to bringing that research to you guys. And then the experience business. So we are in the experience business, more so than anything, I think. And I think so 3 things when we think around this world for us. So on the left there is IP partnerships. Perhaps one of the more iconic IP partnerships in the last 5 to 10 years is Bond and Heineken. And this is just about going beyond spots and dots. So this is about bringing forward all of the stock footage, all of the IP, and creating campaigns that really tap into that cultural moment or that character, or that seasonal moment, and doing something a little bit different beyond a 30 or a 60-second spot. So this is about us connecting you guys with distributors and being able to facilitate that conversation rather than, it's not about us doing it on its own. In the middle there, you've got innovation. And so when we think around innovation, you think around all the different viewing opportunities that you've got. So it's not just about the screen, it's around the seat that you sit in. It's around the experience of the movement of the seat, or the idea that the sensual ideas that they're throwing water in your face or air or whatever ends up being on 4DX. So there's lots of ways to bring this to life depending on what your clients are looking for and the audience that they're trying to target. And then on the right-hand side is gamifying the cinema. So we launched this back in May 2020, just as cinemas were shut, which was awesome. But what we've done is we've gamified the cinema experience. So there are 50 servers around the country in Hoyts locations. And the idea is that you plug in a code onto your phone and you turn your phone into a device to either play using the screen behind me, or you're playing quizzes or whatever ends up playing, or it's an avatar and you're controlling playing games. And for us, that is a real opportunity to A, think about doing things differently, but B, talking about closing the loop. So if you partake in the quiz or the game, you can either download a voucher to send clients into store or online to prove that we drive more than just brand awareness. Still hasn't been done. I know the room loves a media first, so see my team after if that's what you guys want. And the last couple of slides, I think, or maybe even the last one. So guys, unique experiences, and this is where I genuinely think we've got a huge role to play. So back in April 2020, when we were shut and watching millions of dollars run out of the door of the business on a regular basis, we started posting good news stories for global cinema on our socials. And for 3 or 4 weeks after that, Place New South Wales were all over us looking, saying, well, you posted this story about Cinema on the Seine in Paris, where they had a cinema screen on the side of the River Seine, and then you got a little boat and you rode around on the river watching the movie. And they were all over us for 3 or 4 weeks. And so we ended up coming up with a solution for their summer activation, which they didn't have one at the time. And we basically ripped off the idea and came up with Moving Boat, where we put a cinema screen on the side of Darling Harbour, and you got to watch the movie by barge or by boat, depending on the cost entry. Now, that was sold out at about 95% all the way through, and this was through a Northern Beaches lockdown. So it told us that there was a real appetite for unique consumer experiences. So as a result, we have, I think, probably thrown 4x down in this region. So we are going to be creating a massive range of experiences, some off the shelf, and then some are all around collaboration with you and your teams about how we really create unique experiences that drive brand fame. So this is the area that I want to talk more about this year with you guys. This is the area where we want to be pushed. We want to collaborate more. And how do we get brands and products in the hand of consumers in these unique experiences, I think is going to be a real powerful mechanism for driving brand growth this year. And that's us.